This is a very extraordinary gathering of knowledge, wisdom, experience, and the futuristic vision, which would not benefit just India, but it will definitely help in making this world a better place. Because people came with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of inner motivation to take the message forward. So a lot of positivity is here. So I'm extremely happy and thankful. We have made remarkable progress over the years, and that includes amending the laws or making new good laws which are more progressive, more comprehensive. And there are some schemes which have been introduced over the years for the betterment of children, particularly in the issues of child sexual abuse, child marriages. So progress is being made. But globally speaking, it is quite shocking that when the world is getting more and more billionaires, 1 billionaire is born every week in the world, 1 billionaire. And 80,000 children are pushed into child labor, slavery, trafficking globally. 80,000 children every week. Over the last 10 years or so, world has become more than $11 trillion richer. But we have 160 million children who are still languishing in child labor and slavery and exploitation, or 250 million children are out of school. So these are bigger challenges. They are not numbers, they are human beings, they are our children. So that sense of moral responsibility and moral accountability is lacking. I've been saying that world has never been so wealthier, so well informed. World never had so many laws and constitutional provisions to protect marginalized people, children and women and tribals and excluded and marginalized sections of society globally. But in spite of all this, hundreds of millions of children, women and men are suffering. Can you imagine that 476 million children are living or forced to live in the war zone or conflict zones? So what kind of future they are going to ensure to our children? Almost 19% children are living in these situations in the war zones and conflict areas. So if we have to solve these problems, we have to think and go deeper. And that wisdom and the way of finding new solutions should be digged out from Indian ancestors, I would say, and the ancestors from all religions and all cultures from all across the world. Because all the religions and all the revolutions and social transformations were born out of spark of compassion. And that's why I have launched this new movement, Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion. Because what we need is to connect with those who are suffering. What we need is the feeling for those who are suffering, a sense of responsibility and a sense of belongingness to act immediately. But whenever the solutions are found, these solutions give birth to new problems. Take the case of, say, growth, economic growth. That is necessary for all. This is the solution. Shared prosperity, shared growth, that is fine. But that growth means more production, more consumption, more supply. And the production and consumption means industrialization. That means you are ruining planet. And then you launch a new movement to create a solution to find the problem of the crisis of global warming, the climate injustice and the climate crisis and so on and so forth. Then millions of new people find the jobs in it. It is not bad. Unfortunately, we have to respond to these situations. But how to solve these problems until and unless we feel that this river is dying and the death of river should affect us, the death of a mountain. the problems which our air is facing, our water is facing, our oceans are facing. What is our connection to that? If we don't feel connected and feel the suffering, we cannot solve. So therefore, I arrived to that conclusion that compassion is the solution. But compassion is not empathy, it is not mercy, it is not pity, it is not kindness, it is not benevolence. Because they are good human traits though, but they are not so effective in finding the solutions of the deep-rooted structural and institutional problems and crises. It is only the compassion. Because you feel and then you act. Of course, that will happen.
It's a dream, long dream.
We are failing our children every day. Let me confess here. Someone who initiated this whole call of child labor eradication, child slavery abolition, almost 4 or 5 decades ago, I confess that we as international community, we as the global society have failed our children, and we are failing our children because we are not honest to our children. The worst situation is in sub-Saharan Africa. It is again a paradox. I would say it's criminal that sub-Saharan Africa produces so many things, including their land is ruined and the minerals are coming out and they are taken to the rest of the world, especially in the Western world, in America and Europe. But every day, children are pushed into slavery and prostitution. We are not able to ensure their freedom and dignity and education and healthcare. So this is injustice. This is the global injustice. And that is not only occurring, but it's growing. It is huge. Let me tell you that children have never been responsible for wars, insurgencies, climate crisis, poverty, any of the crime which we, the wise people, the powerful people who have created and given to the children. And the children are the worst victims of these situations. Children are not responsible for the wars in Ukraine and Russia or in these two places, other places. Actually, there are about 45 places where the wars or the conflicts are going on. So the effect is multifold. Many of them are killed, innocent children. Their parents are killed and the children are left orphans. There are many children who are facing mental trauma. They are facing a lot of injuries. But that mental trauma and the shock they are living in every day, every minute, this is, and the scars on their mind, in their mind and soul, they will remain forever. And that can go in any direction. When some of these children can become violent, they can take the revenge. They would love to fight, and such children could easily be lured away by the extremist forces. So this is quite a big problem, and that's why we are not able to solve any problem of the world. Frankly speaking, we have created a comfort zone in living the problems and finding the solutions, and then creating new problems and finding solutions. The United Nations, which I'm also the part of many of their committees or their groups and so on for many years. Even now, the United Nations Secretary General had appointed me as one of those 17 SDG advocates with some prime ministers or presidents and so on. I am also one of them. And I have been raising this issue with them that we are failing. Right from the beginning, I am saying that we are not going to accomplish any single sustainable development goals. Less than 20% of indicators or the parameters of some of these goals could be accomplished, but not one single goal could be accomplished by 2030. 2030 is the time. So Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion is primarily working on 3 areas. One is we are working on launching a new measurement for compassion, what we call the compassion quotient. Okay. The world knows about IQ, intelligence quotient, and then EQ recently, 20, 30 years. But this is not enough.
CQ.
CQ.
Okay.
So we are working on CQ. That is one major area, because CQ means the ability to solve the problem. But that begins with ability to acknowledge others' problem, then connect with that, then feel with that, then have the motivation to solve it, and then to take action. So all these things are measurable, and they will come under this whole idea of compassion quotient. After that, we can enhance the level of compassion in individuals and in the organizations and the countries. The second thing is that we are working on building compassionate leadership in all walks of life. And thirdly, we are working on creating world's first global compassionate leadership center.
Where it is being?
We have not yet decided, but we will definitely think to do it in India.
Right.
But it could be done anywhere, or the branches could be founded anywhere, but we wanted to work from India. Well, I have not spoken about it with them, but they have tremendous knowledge, technological know-how, now information technology, and many of them are very, very wealthy people, and they have good hearts. So I'm not asking for money, but I'm asking them to be a compassionate leader. Join the movement, as I've given the call here, that join the movement and be the compassionate leader in your communities, in your societies, in your countries, and lead it from the front. And somehow, if you feel and you become the part of it, and joining the movement, then support the work. All these three things which I am working on.